Smith.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank the Conservatives for sharing this time with me so I could speak to this important bill. This is something that's been a long time coming, as other members have pointed out, and something that civil society organizations have been asking for and citizens have been asking for. The CBSA they're our front line at our border, and they do important and valuable work. We have some 95 million travelers that CBSA interacts with every year. And it's important that the work that they do is recognized, and that the people that step up to do this job are respected and recognized for the work that they do. My sister was a police officer in the OPP for 24 years. My uncle served in the RCMP. And I've spent time with them on ride-alongs and seen the work that they do, and talked with their colleagues and documented some of the work that they do. And these are people who step up to serve and protect our communities, just like the folks that are here to serve and protect us as part of the parliamentary security. And respect for the work that they do is important. So when we have cases where there are complaints that come to the media, and the last time we were debating this, C-98, there was a complaint that was taken to the media about a woman who had been kind of mishandled by CBSA. She was strip searched. She felt that the whole process was arbitrary, and she didn't have a confidence in complaining to the CBSA about what had happened to her. In 2016 to 2018, there was 1,200 cases of alleged misconduct by CBSA employees, and these are the things that can taint an organization that employs many people. So there was 228 cases of neglect of duty, 183 cases of discreditable conduct on duty, 59 cases of harassment, 38 cases of criminal association, 25 cases of abuse of authority, 7 cases of assault, 5 cases of intimidation, 5 cases of uttering threats, 5 cases of sexual assault, 4 cases of smuggling, and there's been accusations of racism and other things that happen at the border. Most people don't realize that when you cross the border, you are in a legal no man's land. You have very little rights when you cross the border, and CBSA has extensive powers to take blood samples, to take saliva samples, to access your data on your computers, to ask you for your passwords, to strip search you, to detain you, and in the case of non-citizens, to arrest you. We've had 14 deaths since 2000 in CBSA detention centers, and there is no independent review of these deaths or any potential criminal implications for the wrongdoing. So it's very important that we bring CBSA into this process that all of our other security forces are required to have bodies, oversight bodies for. So having this Public Complaints and Review Commission is really important. There's a couple of things about this that in this bill that we would like to see adapted and changed. One is that under the RCMP Act, the ineligibility paragraph under subsection 45.29-2 of the RCMP Act will exclude current or former members from serving in the Public Complaints and Review Commission. Member under the Act has a specific definition that means an employee of the RCMP, and presumably this should be amended so that current and former agents of the CBSA should be excluded from sitting on the Public Review and Complaints Commission as well. Because I think it's incumbent that it should be independent, that somebody who has served with CBSA may have colleagues that are now called forward for a complaint somebody, you know, we want to have it completely arm's length. We don't want to have this continued relationship. And, you know, when you're in these security organizations, if you're a police officer, it is like a brotherhood or a sisterhood. You think the best of your fellow officers, and you want to believe the best of your fellow officers. And I know this is the case for my sister when she was in the OPP. She was at the Ipperwash inquiry looking into the wrongdoing of fellow officers. And at first, she had trouble believing that they could be involved, that this was a wrongful death, the shooting of Dudley George. And what happened in that inquiry was that some of the worst behavior of certain members of the OPP came out. And so it's important that it's an independent body that looks at these behaviors and reviews it properly. Some of the other things about this we would like to see changed is some notification for people who are going to be deported. And there's a case of this gentleman, Richard Germain. He was an Indigenous man. He was born in California, lived his whole life on Penellicut Island, which is in Cowichan-Langford riding. He's married, he's a community leader, and right before Christmas, with no warning that his citizenship papers were in any sort of disarray and that he should take steps, CBSA officials showed up at his home. They put him in leg irons. They took him away in front of his wife, who is a residential school survivor, traumatized her, their children, and their grandchildren. And in leg irons, they took him in a van to a detention center in Vancouver, where he was ordered to be deported as quickly as possible. No idea what was happening to him right before Christmas. You know, fortunately, there was he was working with an ethnobotanist in the University of Victoria, and Elizabeth May, the member for Saanich Gulf Islands, helped working with the minister to ensure that he was taken out of detention. So having some notification, I think, for people that, and I realize that some people might cut and run with notification, but I think in this case clearly shows that just showing up right before Christmas and putting somebody in leg irons and dragging them away isn't very appropriate. So that's another aspect that we would like to see amended. And of course, we share concerns about how this will be funded to make sure that the Public Review Complaints Commission has adequate funding to do their work. But we do think that this is an important piece of legislation to pass, and that CBSA should have the same kind of oversight that other police agencies and security agencies have in this country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments? Question, comment.